It's my great pleasure now to introduce our next speaker. As all of you know, and as Shiv very clearly articulated, you know, the internet has clearly arrived in India and it's got enormous scale today. And we've seen especially digital businesses obviously leading the frontier and embracing the medium at scale. But when it comes to consumer product brands, I think in India there are very few that you can point to as companies that are doing very interesting, very innovative things already in India and that get the medium. And it's my great pleasure to introduce Chandrasekar Radhakrishnan. All of us know him as Chandru, to be the next speaker. Chandru is the head of communications at Nestlè India. And I'm sure all of you have seen some of the marquee work that Chandru and his team have done. I think the Nescafe campaign is clearly my favorite. I think it's, I've actually tweeted about only 3 campaigns in the last 3 years, and 2 of them were Google, Chandru. So Nescafe was the only non-Google campaign. So I think all of you would agree that the work that we've seen from Chandru's team over the last 2 years has been absolutely spectacular. And I think he's one of the few consumer leaders, the leaders of in a consumer products company in India that really, number one, I think understands digital deeply, but number 2 is able to combine storytelling ideas with the power of the medium and really bring these ideas to life. So I think the work that is done at Nestlé is absolutely fantastic, but also before Nestlé was as Airtel. I think again we remember some of the great work that you did at Airtel, and prior to that was at Britannia and Marico. So we've asked Chandru to join us today and both share more about the really cool work that they're doing at Nestlé, but also we're hoping you can talk about you know, what as an industry we can do better, Chandru, and I'm sure you'll get a lot of questions on that in terms of how can we, because I personally don't want to wait till 2030 before the entire consumer products industry kind of gets digital, because I'll be really old and I might be dead. So I'm hoping that instead of 16 years, we can make this happen in like 16 months, which is, you know, get the entire CPG industry onto digital. So let's give Chandru a big round of applause and welcome him on stage.
Can you hear me now? So thanks, Rajan. Thanks for your kind words. I'm very happy to be here. The topic that I was supposed to discuss was about digital marketing, but I'm not going to be doing that. I'm going to be talking about marketing and brand building in a digitally connected world. I'm going to be trying to share our views as Nestlé in what are those timeless fundamentals which can be relevant even to today's reality, but adapted in a completely different way. You got a pointer? One of the key messages that I want to start off giving before I actually get into the real meat of what I'm going to talk and what I'm going to talk about timeless fundamentals is, you know, at Nestlé we value very much, on one hand, to identify, adapt, anticipate meaningful change. But on the other hand, you would have seen us being very calm. We resist all industry assertions that everything has changed and all the old beliefs have to be just thrown out. Adapting, not abandoning the fundamentals, in my view, and I would even argue, is possibly the most critical and the most important skill set of a marketer in today's rapidly changing world. That's my start. Adapt the timeless fundamentals to this new reality. Before I'm going to talk about very clearly the timeless fundamentals, I want to tell 2 things about Nestlé which will actually set the context of the work that we have done and to understand and make people understand what makes us tick and what doesn't make us tick. timelessness means different things to different people. And it means more to us because our roots go back to 1866 when Henry Nestlé, our founder, actually invented a product to save a neighbor's child's life. We've been in this country for the last 100 years, and we have products and brands which span across all ages, and most of our brands, Maggi, Nescafe, Kit Kat, play a very meaningful role in most of our lives. We follow a process called brand building the Nestlé way. It's a very fundamental process. We stick to that process of understanding people and building brands and delivering experiences. This is the fundamental approach that we take to brand building the Nestlé way. It is this fundamental approach we follow even today in order to make sure that we build brands and deliver campaigns. But the respect for these fundamentals does not preclude that we do not adapt to the new realities. So as Rajan was making a passing mention, that there are 3 critical building blocks to what we do in digital. And I think Shiv also raised some of the points which I'm going to cover, but I think fundamentally, and somebody was asking this question, what is the organization of the future? I think these are 3 critical pillars that makes us to do what we do. One is possibly we are the pioneers of this digital acceleration team, which is essentially a center which rests in the headquarters right here in Gurgaon. This was started at Vevey in Switzerland, and we have constructed, when I say constructed, it's actually a studio, it's actually a center which is as a part of the office itself, and community management, consumer engagement, listening, measurement analytics, strengthening of brand campaigns through content, everything takes place here. So it's got screens, people sitting out there and trying to deliver digital acceleration work. The second part of it is about capability building. So to build an organization, you need ambassadors. And you want to have digital as a culture, it's extremely important that you have ambassadors whom you're building inside with trainings and capabilities. And we take marketers actually out of their permanent positions, put them for a 6-month training, which is a world-class training, along with our partners, and they come back after this training back into the business to do reverse mentoring to their bosses and actually spread the culture inside the team. The third thing, which is possibly the new kid on the block and may interest some of you sitting here, is about the combination of brands and technologies. Startup culture is picking up, and somebody again was asking the question about startup culture, and we really believe that brands have a role to play with technology, and that's because brands will start thinking beyond the products and start thinking about services, and what better way but to actually cooperate and partner with some of the startups here in this country. So with this, I'm going to talk about 4 timeless fundamentals. It may be provocative, it may be even controversial, it may not be in line with some of your thoughts, but this is what we believe and this is what is our view. The first one is it's about people. It's not about consumers, shoppers, or media audience. Second is about message quality matters most and not the platforms. 3, engagement is only an enabler and not the ultimate result. And 4, what we call in creativity as safe is no more safe. So let me start with the first one. Consumers, shoppers, and media audience are actually fabrications of this marketing industry to allocate tasks inside brand companies and also with advertising partners. We all live fluid lives, you and me. And we eat and drink, we shop, we consume media almost all the time. And compartmentalizing them is not going to give you the requisite consumer insight. Because if you understand them in much more broader context of life, you would possibly get into a human insight which is much more deeper and stronger. The point about segregating and compartmentalizing them into consumers, shoppers, and audience and is going to only give you superficial understanding about the people whom you're dealing with. And that may be a missed opportunity in order to get and delve into a human insight. So I'm going to talk about something which, again, seems to be Rajan's favorite, but where we actually moved from understanding just the consumer, shopper, and the media audience to delve deeper into the Indian youth in order to place our brand there. This is the story of Nescafe. And to make coffee relevant to Indian youth, to understand the Indian youth became the first prerogative. And today's youth are chasing dreams, building startups, struggling almost every day, but they know they are going to make it big. And we believe that there is a role that coffee can play of being a part of this journey, picking them up, motivating them, and being a companion to keep them on plan. So here is how we told the story. Can you play the video, please?
एक अगलाते हुए कॉमेडियन की सबसे बड़ी स्ट्रेंथ होती है सस्पेंस। हर ऑडियंस आपकी तरह पेशेंट नहीं होती। मैं अटकता हूं, वो खिसक लेते हैं। सॉरी सर। घर वाले कहते थे जल्दी एक जोक सुना, अब कहते हैं जोक छोड़ जल्दी सुना। तो मैं भी ढीठ हूं, जोक सुनाए बगैर जाऊंगा नहीं। तो मैंने दोस्तों को समझाया, टाइम लगता है यार बफरिंग में। लैंडलॉर्ड को समझाया, दो मांगे थे, 8 दे गया।
2 2 2 2 8 वेरी फनी।
कि आजकल जोक्स भी किश्तों में आते हैं। पुलिस वाला कहता है कि कानून के हाथ से लंबा तो मेरा जोक है। दुनिया को समझाया,
अरे जोक तो खत्म करो, सस्पेंस में छोड़ दिया।
सब्र का फल मीठा होता है। सुबह सुबह पार्क गया, वहां खुद ही समझ गया। लाफ्टर क्लब, दे लाफ एट एनीथिंग। थैंक गॉड फॉर कॉफी, इसने मुझे लगाए रखा और आपको जगाए रखा। माय नेम इज ऋषि। लेट्स गेट स्टार्टेड।
Nestle, good food, good life.
The campaign was voted the #1 campaign of the year, not just by some trade magazines, but almost by every TV channel. You know, what's interesting is it took us back to the fundamentals of understanding people and picking up an insight from there, but presenting it in a way that the long format gets permitted in this digital and social media. The social engagement metrics were extraordinary. If you see, there were 5 million more video views, there were shares. There were two critical things. One, it gave us enormous amount of organic reach because of the shares. Because of this being such a strong advertising content, it gave us enormous organic reach. Number two, almost 2,500 plus stories came back to us on Twitter telling what's their story of struggle and what is their cup of resolve, which essentially can be used to create the next content and advertising which we can put back on air. We did not stop there. Actually, if you see on the right side, the brand metrics, every brand metric jumped. Trial is average quantity, additional cups sold, improving image and brand parameters. So to conclude my first timeless fundamental, understanding people will never go out of fashion. And picking up human insights, as somebody told, is retrospectively self-evident truth, will never go out of fashion. And it is going to be much more important in the new reality. My second one is the message quality matters most. When it comes to return on brand building investments, message quality matters much more than platforms. There are numerous studies across the world which shows that, and we have intuitively embraced it. You know, in a way, we never knew whether TV advertising was working. We intuitively embraced with certain reach and frequency that it's going to work. And we have intuitively embraced the point that message quality works. The point is, if we are not very clear about the starting point of saying that message quality is the most important thing, then you actually land up thinking about platforms and their ROIs. In today's environment, it becomes much more important because good content gets rewarded almost immediately, as much as bad content gets punished almost immediately, all powered by technology. So if the idea and the message is very clear and it's of great quality, then you have a very high chance today to be rewarded than it was before. And that's what this digital and social media is going to power you do this. Why am I raising this point again? Because there are enough industry conversations and chitter-chatter going on whether one platform works better than the other. And the return on investment on one platform is better than the other platform. In my mind, that's completely missing the point. Without pulling anybody down and without any disregard, we are actually wasting our time debating this. Go back to the brand teams and the advertising agencies to tell them extraordinary message quality for an idea which has been co-created. And that's what works. I'm going to give you an example of a very focused idea which was co-created across, and how the digital and social medium, not just the digital and social medium, almost every platform which the brand was occupying, made us transport the narrative much, much more strongly than we would have ever before. This is the story of Alpino with the idea love is to share. The hashtag was share wisely. If you people have caught the advertising, which I'm going to show you, it's about the common faux pas we actually create in our lives during relationships. How many of you are married? Okay, you're going to enjoy this one. Can you play this, please?
Young romantics back in the mood for love. We created an integrated launch campaign inserting little messages of love in each bonbon to be exchanged between lovers and spark romance. We then introduced our brand of love to young romantics with a TV campaign, with what not to share bloopers between lovers, positioning Alpino as the right thing to share.
ये फोटो कितनी फैंटास्टिक लग रही हो यार.
Really?
हाँ, इनफैक्ट मैं नितिन को कल ही कह रहा था कि अच्छा हुआ कि तुम अपने मॉम डैड पे नहीं गई. एक तो
ये भी कोई शेयर करने की चीज है. शेयर ही करना है तो ट्राई द न्यू नेस्ले एल्पिनो. 2 chocolatey bonbons with a delicious creamy center, each with a message of love. Nestle Alpino. To love is to share.
A print ad to reinforce the brand message, and fresher, funnier faux pas in love in 2014.
ये वो समर कलेक्शन का चेरी वाला लिपस्टिक है ना?
तुम्हें कैसे पता?
सोनल भी यही लगाती थी. इनफैक्ट इसका जो वो टैंगी आफ्टर टेस्ट है ना, I used to love it. No,
ये भी कोई शेयर करने की चीज है. शेयर ही करना है तो ट्राई नेस्ले एल्पिनो. 2 chocolatey bonbons with a delicious creamy center, each with a message of love. Nestle Alpino. To love is to share.
Nestle, good food, good life.
बेबी सुपर्ब लग रहा है. बस अब वो पंख के पास ना स्टार्स करा ले.
I don't like stars, yeah.
अरे अच्छे लगते हैं यार. ट्रस्ट मी, आई एम टेलिंग यू. राहुल है ना, उसकी गर्लफ्रेंड ने सेम टैटू यहाँ पे कराया हुआ है. और अगर पास से देखोगे ना बेबी, तो पंख के साइड में से छोटे 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 क्यूट स्टार्स है यहाँ पे. इतना अच्छा लगता है.
ये भी कोई शेयर करने की चीज है. शेयर ही करना है तो ट्राई नेस्ले एल्पिनो. 2 chocolatey bonbons with a delicious creamy center, each with a message of love. Nestle Alpino. To love is to share.
Nestle, good food, good life.
Did you see the hidden videos in this commercial? No? Then click here to find them.
क्या यार, तुम्हारी बेस्ट फ्रेंड है और तुम्हें नंबर याद नहीं. सिंपल सा तो है. 9820764452. हाँ.
चलो अच्छा हुआ तुम्हें गिफ्ट ठीक लगा, वरना डैड सोच रहे थे कि जो शर्ट वो नहीं पहनते वो कौन पहनेगा.
With a digital campaign, we got consumers to actually participate in the brand act of sharing. A Facebook app to get people to share their own messages of love. And a contest on Twitter for people to share their funniest moments with a lover, creating a chocolate experience to bring back sharing in love. Nestle Alpino. To love is to share.
So the point about Nestle Alpino is you had a very, very simple, very focused message. But if you've seen that message has been taken through every platform, and if you take this message and calculate the return on investment on every platform it was invested in, it was tremendous. But having said that, if you take some of the campaign, even of ours, to put it in all platforms and see whether the return on investment is the same as Alpino, may not be, and it isn't. So I'm going back to my second timeless fundamental, that message quality is what matters most, and that should be the one-point brief to your brand teams and the advertising agencies and whoever creates content. The third fundamental is engagement is just an enabler, and it's not an ultimate result for us. Today's digital and social media gives you so much of content engagement metrics. You have views, you have likes, you have shares, you have comments, you have retweets, and these are extraordinary for us to optimize content and even delivery. But thinking back, we are not in the publishing business. We make our money still selling noodles and coffee. Every brand communication that we do has to give back to the brand, either in terms of incremental sale or business metrics, or it has to move brand equity parameters and image parameters. And that is one of the defining principles of what we have to do and what we actually propagate back to our own teams. It's becoming very easy today to actually get engagement. She was talking about 365 days. We have a capability to keep creating campaigns. Yes, it's a great opportunity. If this engagement was not there, possibly we would have been limited in our opportunities to engage consumers, build brands, and even increase sales. But having said that, this comes with a big question. Do you declare victory only with social engagement metrics? I have a lot of my brand managers coming to me and say, I have 100,000 views, I have 3,000 shares. Yeah, it's great. It's great to optimize content and delivery, but is that the business result? Is that the brand metric? And is that the return on investment that you want on your brands? The question is still open. But our defining part is to ensure that everything is defined with a clear brand metric and a clear KPI before you move into your campaigns. One of the good examples that we have is about Nestlé, the corporate brand, which had to own food. If you actually go onto the net, Google would endorse this. One of the biggest search that happens is on food and recipes. Internet is full of food. When we embarked on trying to do a corporate campaign, we said, if there is so much food on the internet and we are able to actually coin a message and recipe in order to take over food, possibly it will drive not only engagement but also a business metric. But when we thought through this pretty clearly, there is a science to it and there is also an art to it. The science to it was very clear. There is a lot of food and there is a lot of nutrition value of food which is also getting endorsed in the internet, and it's also a part of what we sell. But on the other side, you also have an emotional part which is essentially the transmission of value which happens through food, which is such an Indian cultural thought. And that's how we launched our Share Your Goodness campaign. On one side, you would see all the nutritional value of food and what we do. But on the other side, you will also see a lot of emotional value which had the ability to create engagement. Can you play the video, please?
अच्छाई खाने के जरिए जब जब शेयर की जाती है, दिलों को पास लाती है। इसलिए हम अच्छाई मिलाते हैं हर चीज में। नेस्ले, गुड फूड, गुड लाइफ।
This one not only drew the social engagement metrics, if you actually see the metrics, it's quite stunning. One of the top 10 most downloaded actually content videos across categories, across all kind of content in 2014. Massive national and international PR we got for this. But you look at the brand metrics. Trust, which was the key score we wanted to move, we were able to move. Salience and our association between brands as well as the corporate. If we had gone with just food and recipes, we might have got engagement, but we went with food as the primary driver of a human emotion, which not only gave us engagement, but also delivered results. My fourth and final fundamental is, in today's day and age, in digital and social media with phones almost at a finger's reach, what we call safe is no more safe. In terms of creativity, advertising, and content, what we call as safe is actually boring. And it is not going to drive engagement in the way we want. Whenever there is pressure, the first thing I listen to brand managers is, why don't we actually go back to the category rules? Let's show a lot of product. In today's day, with the kind of content clutter, it's not going to cut through. What happens because of that is creativity becomes one vector in people's mind, and rather in a marketer's mind, and effectiveness becomes a completely different vector. So one side is creativity. If you're very creative, it's not going to sell. Effective, let's not be creative. Let's show a lot of product, play by the category rules, and you'll be able to sell. Our view is that if it is extraordinarily creative to the brief, which we call relevant creativity, it's going to sell. You have seen enough examples. I'm going to show you more, and it's going to sell. And what we call as safe is actually boring, flat, gray, and uninspiring. Would you ever share a video like that? You wouldn't. Relevant creativity is on strategy, emotionally powerful, surprising, and share-worthy. It's very simple. It's on brief, but it has got something which makes everyone in the room a little uncomfortable because it's going to be surprising. If you see the Nescafe stammering comedian, I know the faces of everyone when the creator was presented. You look back at it, you say possibly that is very unsafe, but it worked. I'm going to give you a non-category example of a Start Healthy, Stay Healthy program, which is essentially a program that we do to partner mothers and parents to help them raise a much more healthier generation of babies and kids. One of the fundamental building blocks of that is to support breastfeeding. And we have been doing this for eons. But we took a very completely different approach. We said, if breastfeeding is something that people don't want to openly talk about, and they don't want to discuss about this, what happens if digital media can actually make them see content which can be shared? Thus was born the Super Baby. The Super Baby campaign was a complete shift in the way we used to do it traditionally to support breastfeeding to what we have done now. Let me just show you a short video for you to get the essence of how we shifted from what was Mamta and mother love to actually having a phrase, having a character called Super Baby to propagate and promote breastfeeding. The video, please.
Super Baby's on board. Take it away now. We're breastfed and we know it. We're breastfed and we know it. We know it. We're Super Babies and we show it. So who's your daddy now? We believe breastfeeding is the best. All you people out there, you want all mamas to have Super Babies? Show it. Share this video now.
And this was a complete 2-minute video with the Super Babies coming and telling you people to share. And look at the actual results. 200,000 shares in social media for a subject which was never discussed. Nobody wanted to openly discuss the subject. 200,000 shares in social media. In a way, the medium actually became the message for us. And to support breastfeeding, you had pledges, you had people actually coming in and talking about breastfeeding in mediums that we had created. And the brand metrics, in terms of the trusted brand, high quality products, everything went up. Because of one simple change from being a very safe propagator to support breastfeeding to a little unsafe and a little surprising and share-worthy way of propagating and supporting breastfeeding. So, to conclude, one is, it's about people, not consumers, shoppers, and media audience. Message quality matters much, much more than platforms. Engagement is an enabler and not the ultimate resort for us. And safe is not safe, if ever it was. Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, on that note, we're going to keep the floor open for questions. Please do raise your hands and introduce yourself before directing the question.
Hi, my name is Urvi. I'm an area sales manager at Cadbury. So I wanted to ask you, according to you, which are the key competencies required to become a successful digital manager for somebody young starting out? Because it's not a very traditional field and not really been taught in these schools. So what do you think are the key ways to learn and become a competent digital manager?
No, I think as time goes, there is going to be no digital manager. I'm sorry. Thank you for asking this question. I think the competency that is required to be a great marketing person is to know the fundamentals of marketing very well. What may be very interesting and what may be very, very important for you is to be very curious and develop skills on this new reality. That's why when I was talking about this balance. One side is brand building, the historic way. Brand building, that's what we call it, BB&W, the brand building, the Nestlè way, which essentially talks about all the fundamentals. On the other side, there are new realities which are coming up, which is essentially about powered by digital and social media. So the balance of both is going to be very important. Being fundamentally a person who understands digital in marketing is a no-brainer, but the marketing fundamentals are going to become much, much more important. And actually, that is the fundamentals of marketing, in my view, is going to be the most important skill set for future managers.
Thank you.
I'll ask a question, Chandru. You know, you talked about innovation.
Yes.
I'm sorry, is there a question there? Go ahead. No, his light is in his face. Can you talk a little bit about, you said, you know, your third pillar was innovation.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit more about some of the things you're thinking about in terms of how to plug into the startup ecosystem and so on.
Yeah. You know, we fundamentally believe that at some level, brands have to talk beyond products and possibly move into services. For this purpose, we started the Silicon Valley Innovation Post, which is in San Francisco, to tap into technology startups and see whether the brands can play a role. One of the things which came out was we went ahead and bought a startup called Pet Finder. With our business of Purina, which is essentially into pet foods, we went and bought Pet Finder. We really believed that if there is a brand idea which can actually turn into a service, it's going to be much, much more composite and much more integrated. Taking that belief forward, in India, we are looking at startups very closely. India today is the fourth biggest technological startups ecosystem in the world. We have 3,100 startups, I think, and we are racing to become possibly the number 2 after United States in just a period of time. The ecosystem is great, and the talent is fantastic. We actually went and met a lot of 30, 35 startups. The talent is fantastic. They understand brands. And if we actually lend a ear to understand the technology and the startups, we really believe that there can be a partnership. It's a big transformation that's going to happen. And I actually open this floor to see whether there is anybody who wants to be a part of the transformation. Please reach out to us. This is something which is just not futuristic to us, but this is something that I think even in the present, it's going to add a lot of value. There are three spaces we are looking at. One is beyond the product, which is essentially in terms of service. Two is if we can increase the marketing productivity through data and analytics. And the third part is in terms of consumer engagement. Ideas like augmented reality, which can be a part of consumer engagement. So these are the three pillars we are looking at, and we are looking at partners, we are looking at people who will help us in this transformation much better.
Hi, Chandru. In the morning today, we spoke about innovations in the CPG space coming few and far between, right? So can you tell us how Nestle is using digital to drive innovation and new product development?
No, I think there are different forms to it. I think we caught the point that there is an innovation which happens only once in 16 years. But as Rajan rightly said, you guys are doing innovations almost every 6 months. So the brands partnering technology are going to innovate much, much faster. So if you take a simple example of a QR code, some of our packs, if you actually pick up and you can get into the QR code, it will talk about our brands, it will talk about our products, talk about environment, sustainability, everything that the brand wants to talk about. I think it's a simple innovation. It's something where we were able to find the technology and just put a brand onto it. And almost every brand of ours actually has the QR code. So in terms of brands partnering technology innovatively, it's already happening, and it's happening at a speed which I think not just us, competitors and many other brands are doing it. The other part is how innovative are we about creating our own products and what product innovations. And that's the truth is that only 7% of the innovations actually work, which means essentially you're going to propagate society, kind of culture in the organization, which is going to be much more risk-taking. And because of digital media and the risks people have started taking on digital media, I guess the 16 years is going to reduce a little bit to maybe 8, 10 years, and hopefully.
Hi, my name is Guneet. I'm from Karwale.
Sorry,
I'm from Karwale. My name is Guneet.
Karwale, yeah.
So my question to you is, you spoke about relevant creativity and how you're ready to take a lot of, your content should be share-worthy and it should also be surprising. I'm sure you get a lot of negativity as well when it comes to social media. There would be people who would comment about the brand and come up with negative comments or whatever. So do you have strategies how you handle that, or you're still taking it as it comes?
You know, I think Shiv or Rajan, one of them mentioned that the
Risk.
control, the balance of power is actually moving to the consumer. And we understand that. The digital acceleration team in Gurgaon, in the headquarters, actually have screens all around them. Every comment which is made by people across the world about our brands is visible there. So having empowered them and having people who are mature enough to understand brands and the tone of voice, you have to respond. There is no more time to hide behind the brand. The brand is exposed. When somebody makes a comment about your brand, the brand is exposed. So you need to organize for it. You need to have a structure for it. You need to have people who are extraordinarily empowered. You need to have a system which is very clear about the brand's tone of voice and the kind of reply that you're able to give. And it has to be continuous. So we have to reply, we have to respond, and we have a structure and a system for it. And I don't think there is any more time to hide behind and not come into the open as a brand, because the control has already shifted. People are talking about brands. So it's for you to judge whether you'll have to jump into the conversation and pick up something from the conversation and keep going on, or you say, okay, two consumers are talking, let me not intrude into this, and then let me step away. But if somebody is going to respond directly to the brand, as we were talking about, the control is directly between the brand and the consumer, you got to respond. You got to talk. However difficult, negative, positive the comment may be, you got to talk. And that's what you know in a normal conversation with people, and that's what we have to do with our brands.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm Lata. I'm a nutritionist. Today people have become two things I want to say. People have become very conscious about nutrition, and I'm sorry to say, we were talking of negative comments. You're pushing a lot of junk food by your massive advertising. And secondly, I would like to say that, that ad which you showed just now, which you said has got a lot of hits and all, I think it was very disgusting because this girl is touching worms and then they are eating food. I think enter Dettol, hand wash, but which you didn't show. So what do you have to say about that?
No, firstly, we are the biggest nutrition, health, and wellness organization in the world. I'm not going to be standing on the stage and trying to talk about the nutritional value of our products and brands, because I don't think this is the forum. We can discuss this offline. In terms of what we talk and how we talk, we have very, very strong communication principles. What we communicate is very fair, even to the extent that if you take the Advertising Standards Council of India, which is possibly the watchdog of Indian advertising, you would know that Nestle is still a very, very compliant and a very fair
Sorry,
advertiser.
noodles are terribly junk food.
Yeah, as I told you, I don't think this is the forum that I'm going to talk about nutritional value of food, and I'm going to make comments on that. There is enough available literature both on our packaging as well as in our Noodles website, where you can read about the literature and make your own views and assumptions about it. Maggi is one of the most powerful brands in this country, both in terms of valuation as well as the brand preference in consumers and salience. The other part you talked about, was disgusting because somebody was touching worms. I think that's the reality, and we are not here to publicize Dettol and Lifebuoys of the world. It was there was a cut behind it, between it, and I don't know whether you saw it. It's a time lapse in advertising, but the more important point was the sharing of food, and goodness gets shared when life smiles. So, in terms of advertising, it was people like you who have reacted. People like you who have reacted, written to us, and talking about the advertising and the positivity of that advertising. So I honor your views, but we have our own response on this.
Let's maybe take two more questions. Are there any? So let me, while we get one more, Chandra, let me ask you a question. So we have lots of players in the internet digital advertising ecosystem here. We have publishers, we have mainline agencies, we have pure play digital agencies. Give us 2 or 3 things that you'd like to see differently, because I'm sure every day you have 5 of us showing up and pitching the latest gadget that we have, right? But give us 2 or 3 things that, as it is, you've, I think, given us lots of food for thought, which is focused on the fundamentals. What are 2 or 3 things that you'd like to see differently from this ecosystem, from you as a client?
The first and foremost thing is, trying to solve a problem which, as a brand, we want to solve, is possibly the most critical item for us when we actually want to partner. If there is a real problem which is existing, and your platform is solving that problem, and the brand is also trying to solve that problem, I think that to me is possibly the first thing that I would actually jump in as a partner. I think a lot of people pitch, I think our digital guys and the marketing guys and sales guys keep meeting people. But to pick up a partner means actually to marry the partner for life, in a way. So unless otherwise we find that synergy between the truth in you people trying to solve the problem and in what the brand has to say and trying to be a part of it, I think that's the first thing. If I have to pick one, maybe that's the first thing. Understand what you guys are trying to solve, and understand what our brands are trying to solve, and if there is a synergy, I think there is a great need for it. That's number one. 2 is, I would tell this back again, that it is not about the return on investment on your platforms. I think it's going to be on message quality. So if we are having a consumer engagement platform with you people, with publishers and with media platforms, I think try working with us on getting the message quality right. We are doing some we are doing some experiments rather with both Facebook as well as Google on trying to work with them as partners with our creative idea, but trying to have the message quality and the message right for that platform. I think that's the number 2. Try telling us what works on your platform with our creative idea. That's 2. 3 is you would find a lot of passion when you meet people and talk about digital and social media. Don't get carried away, because a lot of our brands need scale, and to get that scale, it is important that you people are able to actually dictate to us in a certain way what it looks like, not just for that campaign, but across a period of time. So these are the 3 things I would possibly say to people who want to have a partnership and relationship with us.
Looks like we're out of questions. Let's give a big round of applause to Chandru. Chandru, thank you for coming and thank you for your perspective.